This is your weekly IUP-TV News Bulletin, broadcasted from Davis Hall. My name is Stoker Wyzorek.
And my name is Skylar Sabansky. We bring you stories that are relevant to IUP and the Indiana community. Let's begin with local news. IUP senior Brian Doyle has declared his candidacy for state representative for 62nd District. His desire to run for this position is credited to the amazing people he has met in his time as an IUP student. One of his goals is to get new, fresh, and young faces in the Pennsylvania government. Some of his interests include workers' rights, legalization of marijuana, improving education, environment, and healthcare. Currently, Brian has been the IUP president of College Democrats.
The Indiana high school basketball team is moving to the WPIAL playoffs after defeating Northern Allegheny by 7 points. For the first game, the Indians will be taking on Thomas Jefferson High at Hampton on February 22nd at 6 p.m. Each of these games requires a neutral site with a gym able to hold 1,000 fans. Indiana falls 50 spaces short.
PennDOT and Pennsylvania State Police gathered with Penn State Health to highlight driver safety laws and urge motorists to put safety first. Data has shown that deaths on roadways has increased by 10%. This includes fatalities in speeding, distracted drivers, and crashes involving 16 or 17-year-olds. As crashes involving drugs has been increasing, drunk driving has been decreasing.
The Wildlife Works in Mount Pleasant have finally identified a mysterious animal as a coyote. Previously, the animal that was thought as a dog was found in the freezing temperatures and kept by a Pennsylvania rehabilitation center. There are no signs of aggression from the animal, which led to this early assumption. Currently, the animal has been free since late January, just before DNA test results came back.
COVID-19 cases across the U.S. are declining, but the average daily deaths remain elevated as state leaders move to drop mask mandates. Since mid-January, the U.S. is averaging about 175,000 new cases per day. This is a significant drop in numbers since the beginning of the year. U.S. health officials warn that even though the cases are decreasing, the move to drop the mask mandate might be coming too soon.
The victims' families of the Sandy Hook school shooting are reaching an agreement with Remington gun manufacturers for $73 million. This decision is related to the company filing for bankruptcy in 2020. This settlement's magnitude is the first of its kind against a gun manufacturer based on a mass shooting.
Now on international news. The U.S. State Department is warning citizens to leave the countries of Ukraine and Belarus. Tensions are growing with the possibility of an attack on the smaller neighbors by Russian forces. The president of Belarus is favoring Russian efforts after facing tough Western sanctions. The Biden administration says it will not use the U.S. military to help evacuate American citizens if war breaks out in the region.
Like the rest of the world, coastlines in the U.S. are expected to change dramatically in the coming decades as sea levels are rising at a significant rate. By 2050, sea levels are predicted to increase 10 to 12 inches higher than now. This is a century's worth of sea level rise in less than 30 years. These rising sea levels add to storm surges, high tides, coastal erosion, and wetland loss. This new data serves as a global wake-up call and a warning to non-renewable energy companies.
The Penn Student newspaper is where students at IUP and members of the surrounding communities can catch up on the latest news about the weather, sports, culture, politics, and everyday events in Indiana. You can find such news articles on their website, thepenn.org. There you can also view their multimedia page full of videos and skits revolving around current trends on campus. Wanting to advertise your business? The Penn has you covered for that as well, with spots in their newspaper and videos. You can access all that and more at thepenn.org.
To mark National Random Act of Kindness today, our reporter Jeff Baumgardner visited a local organization, Hopeful Hearts. This organization focuses on providing caring and supportive environment for grieving children and their families. Here's the story.
Every person from now until the end of time will unfortunately lose someone in their lives they love at some point. Fortunately, for children, teens, and adults in the Indiana area, Hopeful Hearts is an organization dedicated to helping those mentioned cope with their feelings and emotions in a unique and helpful way. Hopeful Hearts is an organization centered around giving grieving children and adults an environment in which they can discuss their feelings, emotions, and memories of their past loved ones. Volunteer Program Coordinator Laura McLean had a lot to say about how the organization came to be in recent years.
In 2008, program founder Diane Geber was given a kingdom assignment. Her and her husband were given a kingdom assignment by Grace United Methodist Church, which is where we meet today. And they felt there was a need in the community in our area for a grief support for children and teens. They did some research and found the Highmark Caring Place in Pittsburgh, contacted them for some guidance. So in January 2009, Hopeful Hearts opened their doors. We got started that way. And we follow our Hopeful Hearts pledge pretty closely, which is I will care for you, you will care for me, together we will care for each other. Another great thing about Hopeful Hearts is being able to see the progress of our families from start to finish. A lot of times you'll see a family who's just starting and they might be a little shy, not really comfortable with sharing their story or their memories. And as they progress through the program year, they slowly open up and eventually share. It's really great to see their success along their grief journey.
Longtime participant of the program, Susan McKendrick and her family, described their experiences since they found Hopeful Hearts.
In the past 6.5 years, we experienced a lot of close family members pass away. The most recent was my husband in 2020. It's a great experience. It's helped a lot. And the kids actually get to meet people their own age that are going through similar griefs.
It's definitely helped us through what we've been going through. I would say that it's a good place to go to.
The best thing about Hopeful Hearts is that we're one big family. So from our volunteers, to our staff, to our participant families, we're one big family.
Providing those with a safe space to work out their grieving process is something I found very admirable about Hopeful Hearts. The work Laura and other volunteers are doing for this community to help others cope with loss is nothing short of remarkable. Hopeful Hearts meets every other Tuesday of each month from 6 to 8 p.m. They can be found through their online website. This is Jeff Baumgartner reporting for IUP.
As we see new buildings being built on campus, we also have to say goodbye to the old ones. Our reporter Patrick Andre shares a story on the Rashini House, which has been home for the Professional Development Office for many years. Here is the story.
For almost the last 2 years, schools across the country had a long-lasting game of in-person and online classrooms, trying to keep students safe while also trying to have a proper high school experience. Homer Center High School in Homer City, Pennsylvania, now has its classrooms open for the unseeable future. But what's the biggest difference from last year coming into this school year? I asked Joni Rainey, the principal, and Matt Rodkey, the dean of students, that question.
If two students, let's say student A contracts COVID and student B is a close contact, we don't have to quarantine them unless they have symptoms.
This is a huge step in having as many students as they can at school and staying in school unless they absolutely must go home. With students coming back, I asked Mr. Anthony Buffone and Ms. Tina Bruno what's the biggest change that has happened to the teachers over the past year.
Probably the biggest is that we're not doing both online learning and in-class learning. It was very difficult because we were constantly teaching in front of the camera, but to our students at home, trying to get them the tests and the materials and stuff. So by just having to teach to kids in the classroom right now, that makes it a lot easier. You don't have to worry about that extra responsibility of reaching your at-home students.
The difference being that our students are here in person and there's in-person learning. And even though the masks are not ideal, nobody wants to really be in a mask. They seem to be doing a really good job of being resilient about it, wearing their masks, because they want to be here. And to me, that's the number one difference, is this year our students are here in the classroom.
But what do the students think? They have missed a lot in the past year, and many of them haven't had a full high school experience. I asked students what they were looking forward to the most about coming back. And as the school year goes on, what are you looking forward to the most that you didn't get to experience last year?
I'm looking forward the most to probably academic things like the academic luncheon and like assemblies for people who have received honors or high honors, along with band and chorus, which I'm involved in, and clubs.
I'd say clubs. We didn't really do clubs last year, I believe, so I'm looking forward to clubs and stuff.
I'm looking forward to attending school-wide assemblies and events, as we didn't really get to last year.
With students and teachers being back in the classroom, there are growing concerns about the uptick in COVID cases, primarily being the Delta variant. Both students and teachers are excited, but there are a few who are anxious about it. And do you feel more comfortable coming back this year than you did last year?
I'm sorry, but no, I don't. I actually am more anxious this year. I guess it's because of the surge that we're seeing in this area, the increased cases that we're seeing, and I think it's just the more you see people who you know who have come down with the disease or perhaps died from the disease, it becomes more and more real every day. And so no, with the surge, I actually feel more anxious. I'm even more diligent, I think, although I've always been really careful about things, even washing my hands more than I ever have.
We have to come to terms that COVID will be with us for a while longer, but this is not stopping the school from giving its students the fun and education they deserve. This is Patrick Andre reporting for IUP-TV News.
Super Bowl Sunday brought a surprise to many people. Apart from the results, there is a special reminder about how these mega events have affected our culture. Jeffrey McKissick has his story.
Most certainly a night to remember for one team, another not for good measure. Super Bowl 56 was on February 13th, 2022. This year, it was held at the new SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles, California. The second year, a home team hosted the big game. To everyone's surprise, the Los Angeles Rams beat the Cincinnati Bengals 23-20. This shocked the NFL world and the IUP community.
I thought it was okay. I definitely was hoping that the game would be a little better. The ending was good, of course, because it was very close. You know, it was only like a one-score game.
For Joe, the Super Bowl is also an opportunity to enjoy food with friends and family.
I'd say it was a little better than last year. I don't think the game was as entertaining last year because it was basically a blowout.
Besides the game, people expect to see advertisements. Much like every other year, the Super Bowl generates some very memorable ads. Companies such as State Farm, M&M's, and Bud Light make the experience more enjoyable. Stoker Wyzork explains what he liked about the Super Bowl.
The most perfect Super Bowl commercial, I'd probably envision it to be super funny and with somebody that I know and enjoy watching and listening to. Especially ones that just have completely new, original, raw humor. Those ones always seem very, easy to pay attention to.
For those who don't watch the game, they can choose to watch the halftime concert, presented by Pepsi, exciting both fans at home and at the game. Musicians Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Kendrick Lamar, Mary J. Blige, and Eminem gave an electrifying performance.
Whenever I saw that they had this medley of artists like Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, Eminem, and others, that was really nice. They were going back to all the classics, and it's something that I feel is dying lately. Just sort of the fact that we're going into different times, but I think those songs really brought me back to post-COVID times, hard times, just before everything even mattered, and it's just like, this is nice.
The NFL's 102nd season was highlighted by amazing catches and spectacular moments. Whether you love the game or just watch it for the commercials, millions of viewers tune in annually. This is Jeffrey McKissick, reporting for IUP-TV News.
We have seen how the COVID-19 pandemic affects different aspects of our lives. For vegetarians, COVID has influenced the availability of this type of product everywhere. Our reporter Cerise Blows shares what it means to be vegetarian and why it has attracted about 5% of the U.S. population. Here's the story.
Have you ever met someone that doesn't eat meat? Vegetarians only make up 8% of people in the world, according to mvorganization.org. People might become vegetarian for religious, health, or moral reasons.
Kids at school, just a lot of like why kind of suck, because to me it was like very simple. I was like, animals die and that kind of sucks, and people were like, but bacon, and I was like, all right.
Although vegetarianism is becoming more common, many people are still met with pushback by family, friends, and even society when they consider changing their diet.
I feel like I sometimes get a hard time from family and other people about not eating meat, but I think everyone's just kind of used to it at this point because I've been this way for over half of my life now.
Negative attitudes towards veganism are perpetrated time and time again throughout pop culture.
Would you like to sample our vegan bacon? 100% meatless.
Yes, please.
Sir, is there a problem?
I'm just making sure no one ever has to eat this.
Traditionally, most Western meals contain meat and have to be modified to become vegetarian.
I don't know, like there's like I know like those Morningstar Farms. It's a very specific example, but Morningstar Farms has these really good fake chicken tenders that I really like.
However, a lot of different Asian and Mediterranean meals are usually made without meat to begin with.
I have never really been one to eat a lot of like fake meat products. I really like stir fry a whole lot with tofu.
This is Cerise Blows for Calm 355, signing off.
Still about food, there is something unique about Pennsylvania culture, especially in relations to cookies and weddings. Our reporter, Benjamin Hodil, has a story about a wedding cookie table that is actually not only popular in Pennsylvania, but also in West Virginia and Ohio. Here is his story.
Cake, the ideal dessert for any celebration, ranging from birthdays and weddings to Christmas and National Cake Day. It seems like no matter what you're celebrating, cake is always the way to go for a delicious dessert treat. However, cake is not the only dessert that can be used as a type of celebration. As a matter of fact, many southwestern Pennsylvanians who have Italian, Polish, or Catholic weddings follow a unique tradition known as the cookie table. Generally, the wedding will serve more than 24 types of cookies, ranging from Lady Locks, Pizzelles, to peanut butter blossoms. Almost every cookie you know may be on that table. To get an idea of how important a cookie table is to southwestern Pennsylvanians, Karen Starcher gives us her thoughts.
Cookie table is a Pittsburgh tradition. It was started, I'm not sure why or how long ago, but essentially it is just a table of the variety of cookies so that you can have your guest snack. I know some people put out boxes so that people can take cookies home, but it's a way of kind of blending traditions and bringing everything together at the wedding.
The cookie table was first introduced by immigrants as a way to save money during the Great Depression. Ever since then, the cookie table has remained a tradition for events like weddings and holiday gatherings such as Thanksgiving and Christmas. But how does the tradition continue? Meet Randy. He is an avid baker and has been baking cookies for several years now. He is able to bake dozens of different types of cookies thanks to his skill in the culinary arts.
I was in culinary school at IUP, so I took 4 different baking classes.
Being able to master different types of cookies is no easy task. However, Randy is not alone.
Because there are people with certain allergies and certain tastes, so people don't want to eat just one type of cookie.
Though it seems as though the cookie table is not as well known in other parts of Pennsylvania, Randy speaks about their views of a cookie table.
There's small things to nibble on versus other bigger dessert options.
The tradition has even spread to Youngstown, Ohio, where many people also create cookie tables for weddings and holidays. Even though not many people know about the tradition of cookie tables, it is a long-standing tradition among many people alike. It seems that it is getting some traction, however, as many people can go online and find information about how to create cookie tables. To see if this tradition becomes any more popular, well, we'll have to wait and see. For IUP-TV News, this is Benjamin Hodel.
Colleges and towns serve as ideal places where local bands can strut their stuff. One of the aspiring bands, called Sheets Run, has members that are also students of IUP. Paige Lutz has this story.
As the spring semester progresses, the music students of Cogswell Hall are hard at work, perfecting their instruments and making music through the classical sounds of the wind ensemble to the vast sounds and timbres of the percussion ensemble. But when those rehearsals let out, some of these students are still making music within their own outlets. This is Sheets Run, a DIY band making waves in the Indiana and Pittsburgh music scene. It was started by 3 IUP music students, Luke Parise, Jane Herring, and Alex Detweiler, eventually adding live performers Christian Kolozinski and Hayden Smith. The band's origins stem from friendship and a love for music.
Sheets Run sort of started with, me and Alex and Jane being friends, first and foremost. We all, are in the percussion studio at IUP together. At some point, we kind of joked about starting a band, and then it was kind of like, oh yeah, when's band practice? When are we going to do that?
It was a running joke.
Yeah.
And with that, the band was hard at work, which eventually led to the release of their self-titled EP in October of 2021. Shortly after the release, Sheets Run had their first live show at the Mr. Roboto Project in Pittsburgh.
My dad was in a bunch of bands, so I would always go up and play a song with them, or play drums with them, or whatever. I played entire sets with my dad before, in live settings. So the first show for me, I was a little nervous, but honestly, I was fine.
Before our first show at Roboto, we did a little preview show at a friend's house. And I was just so, if we wouldn't have done that, I would have gotten sick at Roboto. I don't know why I was so angsty, because I've been a band kid since the 3rd grade. Been performing, that's my thing. But yeah, it was a whole different ballgame.
Following the live show, the band recently released their second EP, along with cassette tapes of all released songs. To find out more about Sheets Run, follow their social medias and Bandcamp page. You can also listen to them on most major streaming platforms.
We would just like to thank all of our fans out there. You mean the world to us.
For IUP-TV News, I'm Paige Lutz.
Do you have a passion for sports? Do you like watching, discussing, and debating about them? Then The Big Hit is for you. This is IUP-TV's one and only sports show. We cover all sorts of sports such as football, soccer, baseball, and more. You can do sideline interviews with players and coaches, or be the person behind the camera capturing all this footage. This year, The Big Hit is teaming up with Sports Production to get up close and personal with IUP Sports. If you have a passion for sports, The Big Hit is for you. IUP will celebrate Black History Month with an art show of Black art and creative expression. This display will be available until tomorrow, February 18th, in Elkin Hall. This event will include a reception and open mic in the same room on February 18th at 4:30 p.m. on Friday.
If you haven't had a chance to see the latest exhibition, make sure you visit the IUP University Museum for the Historic Costume Collection. This exhibition will be available until March 5th. Admission is free.
That's all the news that we have for this week. Don't forget to support our basketball team, who will compete against Seton Hill this Saturday, February 19th. My name is Skylar Savansky.
And my name is Stoker Weiselrick. Tune in next Thursday for more stories on IUP-TV News. We'll see you next week, Indiana.